It's time for the Imperfect Love Part 1 dialogue. Woo. Welcome, magical people. Okay. Part 1 dialogue. Imperfect Love. Yes, it's quite interesting. Things are developing slowly, but surely. As usual, thanks below for all the advanced information. Makes it very much easier. Well, possible. So that's always very well appreciated. Links in the description for your dialogue ahead of time. Okay, so part 1 dialogue. Intro. Constance. Harry, I'm glad I caught you. We're getting reports of new modified surge behaviour. Have you been manipulating the calamity again? Harry. No, at least not intentionally. There's always the possibility that, like the last surge, I may have unknowingly done so. But I'm still not entirely convinced that that's something I'm even capable of. Constance. I'm confused. You said it yourself that the last surge was definitely composed of your memories. Considering that this one appears to be centred around Hermione and Ron, doesn't it seem likely that it is too? What other explanation could there possibly be? Harry, that does seem the logical explanation, doesn't it? Yet I can't help feel that this isn't as cut and dry as it appears. Constance. Perhaps if we investigate this surge, we'll be able to get a more definitive answer about whether or not you subconsciously created it, and if so, why this keeps happening. Clearly they have no memory of what they said during the adversary events. Because, it's not a big step from it being taking memories for adversary events from other people to doing it for the brilliant event as well, Okay, now time for image placements. Brilliant Quidditch fan Hermione Granger. Harry. Funny story, at Ginny and I's wedding, a few of my friends and former classmates admitted that they wondered if Hermione and I would end up being together. Hermione is a great friend. I probably wouldn't be here now if not for her, but we never would have worked out. Ron is a much better complement for her. Constance, speaking of Hermione, have you talked to her recently? Seems she barely leaves her office these days. Harry, apparently she's working on an important project and doesn't want to be disturbed. I tried prodding her for details, but she was very secretive about it. Constance, I bet my wand she's working on something for Ron for Valentine's Day. She always did strike me as the secretive, romantic type. Not quite sure about that myself, but... Brilliant Quidditch keeper Ron. Ron. Harry, something odd just happened to me. Hermione warned me against taking her to the Three Broomsticks for Valentine's Day again. Harry, there's something odd about that, Ron. You subjected Hermione to the Three Broomsticks 5 years in a row. I'm surprised she hasn't transfigured you into a toad by now. Ron, I thought it was romantic. At any rate, Hermione's message isn't what's odd. What's odd is how I received it. Remember when I could suddenly recall a conversation with Grim that I couldn't possibly have had? It was like that, like someone had mucked about in my head. I can imagine Ron's head is someplace you really don't want to be. Harry! It sounds like Hermione's implanted a false memory in your fanwall, but that shouldn't be possible. Unless... Crookshanks! Harry! You know the adage about pets and their owners resembling each other? A case could be made for Hermione and Crookshanks, at least from a personality perspective. Crookshanks was incredibly smart and perceptive, a bit stubborn and bossy perhaps, but affectionate and protective of those he cared about. He was always after Ron's rat scabbards. Of course, it turned out that Crookshanks had a good reason for that, but at the time I couldn't help but laugh at how much it reminded me of Hermione and Ron's own dynamic. Don't remember Hermione wanting to eat Ron, but there you go. Cormack McLagan. Harry, I don't think these fandables are made up of my memories. When I create a surge, I always felt a sense of wholeness every time a fandable is returned, like I've been reunited with a missing piece of myself. But we've returned multiple fandables now, and nothing. I can't say I feel the sense of unease that comes from having my memory stolen by the calamity either. Constance. Curious. Is it possible these memories are so minor that you didn't notice them being snatched and returned? Harry. This is the calamity we're talking about, so I'm reluctant to dismiss this idea outright. It's certainly true I haven't thought about Cormack in years, but I think the more likely explanation is that this isn't my surge. Constance. But if you're not the one influencing the calamity, who is? And why are they interested in your friends and schoolmates? Lavender Brown. Harry. Lavender Brown. I haven't thought about her in some time. She and Ron dated in 6th year, Hermione would get so flustered whenever they snogged in public. Looking back, I think that's probably when Hermione realised just how much she cared about Ron. Yes, snogging is a real term. Harry is a few months older than me, so in the 90s we used the term snogging a lot. To snog. Snogging. They're snogging. Who are you snogging? Are you going to snog? These teachers are snogging. Are these teachers snugging? Etc. etc. Constance. Yeah, so it's not an exaggeration to say that Hermione's memories of Lavender Brown are an integral part of her and Ron's history as a couple. Harry, I suppose you could say that, couldn't you? Come to think of it, all these founders could be tied back to Hermione and Ron's relationship in some way. Constance, either the Valentine season got the Calamity feeling romantic, or there's something more to this surge we're not yet seeing. The end dialogue. Hermione. Hey, Harry, I did it. I manipulated the Calamity and started this surge. It took longer than I'd hoped to sort the magic out, but I finally did it. Well, Hermione, if you lock yourself away in the cupboard and don't ask anyone else for help, it's going to take a little bit longer, isn't it? Harry, that's brilliant, Hermione, though I don't know why I'm surprised. If anyone's capable of it, it's you. Hermione, you're right, though. It isn't easy. I thought the Patronus charm was difficult, but this is on an entirely different level. Still, it's worth the effort. Adversaries prove the unforgivable are growing stronger. Combating their influence on the Calamity is only going to get harder. At least now I can help. Harry, you don't know how appreciative I am of that. We have reason to believe multiple members of the Unforgivable can manipulate the Calamity. It would be good to have another person on our side who can. Hermione! Though I think I tried to guide the next wave in a less personal direction, the Valentine's Day fever had me convinced that putting memories of Ron and I's early days was a good idea. But now that it's on display for the whole world, well, to say it's embarrassing is a bit of an understatement, isn't it? So that is the dialogue. Let me know in the comments below what you think. I think it's okay. I don't think we've kind of gained much, really, in terms of story. We haven't really progressed our knowledge of the Unforgivable and the Calamity. However, it does seem that both sides are getting a little bit hot under the collar. So that's it for this one. Hopefully you like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you are new. Say we do all these things all the time, so where you can actually catch up with the dialogue before the event. Taskforce Times has a dialogue after the event has started, and so hopefully there's a whole bunch of stuff for you there. Also, if you prefer to read this all in text form, there's a link below to my source, and that is the best place to go for like spoiler content and things like that. So until next time, brush up on your pals, get your ones ready, wizards unite.